Top 10 movies that cost the most to make. There's no inexpensive busting blocks at the box office. Movies that are specifically made for the widescreen appear to have the most astronomical budgets. They're not always the best ever made, and the quality of the film often seems to be inversely proportional to its real value. But chances are you have seen at least half of the movies in this list in the theater. Now here you have 10 of the most expensive movies to be ever made. Number 10. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, 2009, $292 million adjusted to a $250 million budget. Harry Potter has been a cultural phenomenon that has dominated the last 2 decades. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, the 6th installment of the series, had the largest production budget out of all the movies, which was an estimated $250 million. The 7th and 8th installment of the movie series, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, had a budget similar to Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, but because the movie was filmed simultaneously, production costs were cut in half. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince brought in $934.4 billion worldwide. While its predecessor, The Order of the Phoenix, was met with mixed reviews, The Half-Blood Prince was well received even by critics who were not big fans of the Harry Potter universe. Christian Lin said it best in her review, which reads, "Any movie that works as a spy thriller, a love story, and horror movie all at once is pretty remarkable. You might say it takes a fair amount of wizardry." Number 9. Tangled, 2010, $299 million adjusted to a $260 million budget. Disney's 2010 animated movie is the most expensive 3D animated movie ever made. Why? The high cost for Tangled was due in part to the complex blend of traditional hand-drawn animation from older films with CG to give the film the distinct feeling of one of the classics in the 21st century. And then there was Rapunzel's hair. During an interview with animator Glenn Keane, who worked on Rapunzel, he told Daps Magic they started creating the software to animate Rapunzel's hair in 2005. Co-director Nathan Greeno told Sisu City Journal an entire team was in charge of animating the character's hair. "It's about 1,000 tubes or 100,000 actual hairs," said Greeno. "The artists were able to get a general movement from those tubes. However, their time and money were well spent as the film was well received by kids, critics, and adults alike." Number 8. Justice League, 2017, $307 million adjusted to $300 million budget. In 2017, the Wall Street Journal reported the budget for the film grew about $300 million US. Joss Whedon had stepped in to finish the film after director Zack Snyder stepped down following the death of his daughter. The film had already been rewritten to have a lighter tone. With Snyder gone, Justice League underwent reshoots and a mandate that the film be under 2 hours. Fans will finally get to see the version of the film Snyder intended to make. His version of the film will debut on HBO Max in 2021 with a completely new villain. Number 7. Spider-Man 3, 2007. $312 million adjusted to a $258 million budget. Spider-Man 3, not to be confused with The Amazing Spider-Man, featured Tobey Maguire as the web-slinging hero of New York City. In the 3rd installment of the series, Spider-Man faces 3 villains: Sandman, Venom, and Harry Osborn, also known as New Goblin. The movie was filmed in Los Angeles, Cleveland, and New York City. Multiple filming locations could have attributed to a higher budget. Sony Productions confirmed that the movie's production budget was $258 million, and the movie grossed $890.9 million, leading Spider-Man 3 to be the most successful movie out of the 3 movie installments from a financial standpoint. But Sony Pictures and the movie director Sam Raimi had a falling out and Sony cut ties. The falling out with Raimi led Sony to reboot the series 5 years later using Andrew Garfield as the leading man. Number 6. Titanic, 1997, $312 million adjusted from a $200 million budget. The cost to construct the Titanic set was somewhere between $120 to $150 million alone in 1997. For that amount of money, you might feel ripped off with anything less than the ship of the dreams. Remember that grand staircase scene where the water comes crashing in as Rose and Jack try to escape? It only had one shot because the set had furnishings were so hugely expensive to produce, there was no room for error. And it paid off. Titanic made its huge production cost part of its marketing campaign, promoting the rich value of the movie like none other at the box office, and it went swimmingly. Despite its $312 million price tag, Roger Ebert described the film as value for money. Every cent of that budget spent on production flickers on the screen. Number 5. Avengers Infinity War 2018, $360 million, adjusted from $360 million budget. Despite the enormous budget, Anthony Russo admitted the production went over what was planned. The irony is like no matter how much money you have, at some point you run out of money. So it's pretty crazy, he said. With Avengers Infinity War having become the fastest film to reach $1 billion at the box office, it seems like Marvel Studios is at least well on its way to earning back its money. But now that the MCU is one of the leading properties in all of Hollywood, there's a confidence that they can go as big as they need and still come out on top. Number 4. Avengers Endgame 2019, $356 million, adjusted from a $356 million budget. Marvel Studios had to spend millions on special effects, music, and post-production, among other things, to make a killing at box offices on Avengers Endgame. Production costs also included paying the writers Stephen McFeely and Christopher Marcus, paying the directors Anthony and Joe Russo, aka the Russo brothers, producers, and everyone else on staff that helped make the film a reality. Marvel Studios outdid themselves on Avengers Endgame in the promotion department. They spent $200 million on getting the word out about the superhero film. The figure marks the most amount of money Marvel Studios has ever spent on marketing a film, beating the $150 million spent on Avengers Infinity Wars. Number 3. Pirates of the Caribbean. At World's End 2007, $362 million, adjusted from a $300 million budget. At the time, the Wall Street Journal reported At World's End was one of the first $300 million plus movies to be made. The film was praised for its performances, direction, musical score, action scenes, humor, and special effects, but was criticized for its plot, character development, and learning time of 168 minutes. Despite this, At World's End was the highest grossing film of 2007, bringing in over $960 million. It was nominated at the 80th Academy Awards for the Academy Award for Best Makeup and the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, and is also won Favorite Movie Actor for Johnny Depp in 2008 Kids' Choice Awards. Number 2. Avengers Age of Ultron 2015, $386 million, adjusted from $365 million budget. Joss Whedon's Avengers Age of Ultron is the follow-up movie to his first successful Avengers movie. The second blockbuster featured big-name actors and actresses including Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, and Chris Evans. In addition to a large cast, post-production special effects made the movie budget quite high. The tax rebate from the United Kingdom confirmed the cost of the film was $386 million. Avengers Age of Ultron made $1.403 billion worldwide in the box office, making the movie the 6th highest grossing movie of all time. And finally, number 1. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides 2011, $422 million, adjusted from a $378.5 million budget. Despite the very agreeable box office returns, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides was no cheap date. 2007 and 2006, Gore Verbinski directed Dead Man's Chest and at world's end cost $263 million and $341 million respectively, with On Stranger Tides landing a slot as the most expensive long shot, with Jack Sparrow and Barbossa's quest to find the elusive Fountain of Youth costing nearly $400 million. Regardless of the huge production costs, Depp's payment was estimated $55 million. The most remarkable cash cow has been the box office busting Pirates of the Caribbean flicks, and since the first time we saw Johnny Depp parading around with bearded dreads and guy liner in 2003, the Disney execs behind the franchise have simultaneously weighted up to their armpits in gold.